As you can tell, I'm a huge Formula 1 fan, and I have been for basically all my life. That's the main reason why I started this channel. And being a major fan means keeping up with everything to do with the sport as much as possible. The other day, I was looking on YouTube and I came across this video by Donut Media, which gave the view that Volkswagen has killed F1 by announcing that they are going for an all-electric future in their motorsport division, most likely to improve their green credentials and further advance the car market, as they are heavily investing in electric vehicles. The VW Group are not involved in F1 at the moment, but they do run factory operations and supply customer teams across other motorsport divisions such as WRC, Formula E, touring cars, and much more. The video basically explained that because the VW Group is so large and will solely focus on all-electric motorsport vehicles, this will force other manufacturers such as the ones in F1, like Honda and Renault, to follow suit, therefore killing F1 in the process, as they are currently committed to having internal combustion engines by using biofuels in the future, and eventually the sport will die a slow death as there will be no manufacturers to supply the privateer teams. After seeing this, I decided to dive a little deeper to see how healthy the sport currently is, the positives for the future, and if there's anything that could potentially make it part of the history books. I suppose the first thing to do to see the popularity of the sport is to look at its viewing figures. At its peak in 2008, F1 had around 600 million unique TV viewers, whereas for the 2019 season, FOM announced that their figures were 471 million. This is still a major improvement compared to 2015, where there were only 400 million viewers. However, the move to watch F1 on pay TV services such as Sky Sports has made a huge difference in the accessibility of the sport, notably for people who now cannot watch any races live. An example of this is in the UK, where from 2019, Sky Sports now has the exclusive rights to broadcast F1 up until 2024, whereas previously Channel 4 could also broadcast half of the races live. Because of this move, the UK audience fell by 8.6 million, with other countries that have a similar format facing the same circumstances. However, in terms of cumulative audience, the figure is the highest for Formula 1 since 2012 and represents the third consecutive year of growth. This is mainly due to the introduction of F1's own subscription model, F1 TV. The countries that don't have exclusive rights deals are now able to pay the equivalent of $9.99 per month, which is a very fair price compared to UK customers, who in order to watch F1 have to get the whole Sky package, which can total up to at least £40 per month. I think that if F1 TV continues to roll out to areas that currently have exclusive rights, such as the UK, then audiences will increase. Although it will still be hard to attract new viewers that can't afford subscription services, as free-to-air terrestrial broadcasting is now limited. There's also been significant growth across Formula 1's social media platforms, with the total number of followers on its Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube accounts growing massively, whilst its page views on its core digital platform soared 82.3% to surpass 1 billion last year, with much of that being owed to the F1 official app. All of these factors show that since Liberty Media took over the running of the sport in 2017, they have really put an emphasis on the digital side of things to appeal to a younger audience, in comparison to the Bernie Ecclestone regime, and it has worked as 62% of new fans that have been introduced over the last 2 years are under the age of 35. This engagement is very encouraging for the future, and although this is just from my personal experience, I've seen a lot of younger people interacting in all forms of social media from the official F1 accounts, and items such as the Drive to Survive Netflix show have really broadened the audience base, especially in areas such as the US. It's not all been positive though. Although historically championships have usually been won by teams with big budgets and there are periods of dominance such as Ferrari in the 2000s, there was often unpredictability in races, although you could say that it was due to a lack of reliability back then. However, in the 2010s the championship was only won by 3 drivers and 2 teams. This has angered some fans, as they want everybody to give more of an equal chance to win. But when you have the likes of Ferrari being given historical bonuses, and other teams such as Mercedes and Red Bull spending millions more than other teams, this can lead to it being very hard for the smaller ones to catch up. As fans of the sport, we don't want it turned into a spec series like IndyCar, but changes do need to be made to make the field more even. The quality of racing has also been under a lot of scrutiny. Since the introduction of the wider, heavier cars in 2017, it's been harder for drivers to overtake. This is partially rectified in 2019 by the introduction of simpler front wings, but some fans still say that the racing isn't as good as in other series. After the horrendous 2019 French Grand Prix, fans and drivers alike were calling for changes to be made to make the racing on track much more exciting, but from then on nearly every race up until the end of the season was fantastic, with brilliant racing throughout the field. But overall, in my opinion, DRS placed too much of an emphasis on the overtaking, rather than proper wheel-to-wheel battles. The introduction of the 2021 regulation should improve the sport with better racing and the midfield teams being more competitive. This is due to the cars being designed specifically to run close to the car in front, without losing too much downforce in the dirty air, whilst a cost cap of $175 million per team will be brought in to make the sport fairer and more sustainable, and it will hopefully end the growing spending gap between F1's big spenders and those with fewer resources, therefore reducing the performance difference between the teams. We have had major rule changes before that have completely shaken up the grid, such as in 2009 when Brawn GP stunned the F1 world, and the senior figures in F1 are hoping for a similar outcome. The only issue is that the teams still have unlimited spending powers up until 2021, and like now, the bigger teams with more money could have an advantage as they can put more resources to perfect the car design for next year, resulting in the exact problem we have now. It may take a few years for the smaller teams to catch up once again, but overall the changes being made are to make the sport even more appealing, which is great to see. Even the teams are not having as much of a say in the rules as they used to. One of the biggest things that could potentially harm F1 in the future is of course Formula E. Now whether you like Formula E or not, it cannot be argued that its popularity is growing, and as battery technology improves, the criticisms that it gets at the moment, such as the lack of speed, the races not being long enough, and that they're not racing on proper tracks, will all be gone. Electricity seems to be the most road-relevant form of transport for the future, and that's why manufacturers such as BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Nissan and Jaguar are all involved. To some extent, what Donut Media are saying is true. If you were a car manufacturer that wants to increase its brand awareness and highlight its green potentials in electric vehicles, why not participate in what is known as the Championship of the Future? The broadcasting is a lot more expansive too, with the majority of races being on free-to-air TV and even YouTube in selected territories, and they even upload the races afterwards, which F1 don't. This makes Formula E a lot more accessible to the casual viewer compared to F1, and whereas a casual viewer in the past could have been hooked on F1 on terrestrial TV, the same will now be done for Formula E. Does this mean that F1 is dying? Absolutely not. From a viewership perspective, it's not just specifically F1 that has had a decline in TV viewers over the past 10 years. Due to the popularity of subscription services such as Netflix and Amazon Prime, and internet content platforms like YouTube, fewer people in general are watching TV, and the price of cable is so expensive, even sports like football are getting a decline in viewers. For any football fans out there, how many times have you or somebody you know thought about watching on an illegal stream? It's fantastic that Liberty Media are really pushing the online side of things, and they recognise that they need the younger viewers to get hooked and watch for the long term. And in the future, I can see each territory being able to subscribe to F1 TV Pro at a cheap price, just as I think every other sport will have its own streaming service where we can pick and choose what to watch. Looking at the racing, I do believe that the 2021 regulations will improve both the wheel-to-wheel racing and also bring the field closer together. A huge regulation change is a really exciting time for the fans, and the cars are going through such a major visual change that I can't help but get enthusiastic about it. There are so many drivers on the grid that are a breath of fresh air, whilst the way they interact with the fans on social media and at the circuit is great. Let's just hope the corporate people don't make them cut it out. When comparing F1 to Formula E, in the short term, I don't see the battery technology in Formula E increasing to the point where it will be able to replicate the speed and distance covered in F1. However, I can see the two series merging in about 10 to 15 years' time, although that could prove difficult, as the Formula E founder and CEO Alejandro Agag has said that Formula E has an exclusive licence with the FIA for 25 seasons, meaning the earliest F1 could go all electric as 2039. Either way, it's inevitable it will happen, it's just a question of when. So those are my thoughts on the current state of F1. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and I really want to hear your thoughts on how F1 is today and where you see it going in the future, so leave a comment down below. Anyway, thanks guys, I'll see you in the next one.